drown in his waffles. Maple syrup dripping from his fake rub. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he should.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, January the 14th. That's the date, 2025. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai wearing something on his head.
It is a colander. It is Wear a Colander Day, John. And
Happy Wear a Colander Day for those that celebrate.
And it's not that I'm misreading something. It actually is colander. So I need one that fits because.
So it's no colander, right?
No, it's colander.
Right.
Wear a colander. This is a Pastafarian holiday.
Pastafarian, that makes sense now.
Yeah, it's a Pastafarian holiday. They wear colanders on their head. I think.
Do they strain the pasta through their head, or they just don't eat that day?
I don't know. No. They probably put the colander on their head afterwards and let the goodness, the carby goodness, wash over them.
That pasta water, that good stuff, that they take a bath in it, basically,
or a shower in this case. I would guess. But I think it's the way they exalt the flying spaghetti monster. I'm not sure, but okay, that was a lot of fun.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I need one that fits a little better though if I'm going to do that on a regular.
Well, you know what I mean. You go shopping. You got to get your actual hat size for colander. I mean,
they do sell them by hat size, don't they?
They do. They do. 7 3/8 is mine. If anybody's,
I think I'm 7.5.
There you go. Well, yeah, your head is bigger than mine. So.
Yeah, by
1/8. By 1/8 of an inch. There you go.
Oh no, God, we just broke rule 1.
We did math, didn't we?
We did math.
All right. Well, let's get out of it by talking about Dell.
Yeah, oh no, and I broke another rule too. I broke rule number 2. I talked about religion.
That's right. You did.
Oh man.
All right.
Well, there's no politics.
Right. No politics. Don't go there. Let's get out of this let's get out of this vicious circle by talking about Delhi.
In the capital of India?
No, not New Delhi. Delhi.
Oh,
like delicatessen.
Oh, like delis.
Yeah, like Happy National Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day.
Oh man,
I wanted to go out and so bad and get a hot pastrami sandwich and eat it on the show.
There was a place in Morristown. Was it Rockefellers? I think it's called
Rockefellers. Yeah.
Oh my God, their hot pastrami sandwiches are amazing.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot. There's one I got to tell you. I've had a lot of good pastrami and Katz's Delicatessen in New York. I've
never been. I still got to get the Katz.
It's just you got to go. You got to go at least once, right? You got to do it, right? But I got to tell you, one of the best pastrami sandwiches, Romanian pastrami, one of the best pastrami sandwiches I ever had was up in Boston. All right, Sam LaGrassa's.
Okay,
it's a deli. It's just off of Milk Street. It's like maybe a block or two east of Tremont.
Tremont.
Tremont, whatever you want to call it.
Well, you said Houston right rather than Houston. We got to say Tremont right.
Okay, Tremont's fine. Not too far from Quincy Market.
Quincy Market.
Market.
It's Quincy Market.
Quincy Market. Yeah, Sam LaGrassa's is amazing sandwich. I got to literally plan on. Like when I go up to Boston, I literally leave at a specific time so I could get there because they close at 3:30, so I can get there before they close to have the sandwich.
There you go. I think the worst one I ever had was in Vegas. Which makes sense. One time, because I worked in the city a very long time, and one of my first times in the city, I did something really, really stupid. I went up to.
Oh, that's not new. I mean, come on.
I know, no, but this was a particularly boneheaded maneuver considering Brian Boak's comment. That he just put up there.
I'll check in a second. Go ahead.
I had walked up to a deli counter, deli window, and the guy serving me had a yarmulke on, and I asked for pastrami and Swiss on rye. Mm-hmm. That is a big no. That is not kosher. You can't put meat and cheese.
Put meat and cheese on the same thing.
No. So
you go to a Jewish deli. You go to a kosher deli. There's 2 separate deli cases. One has meat and one has cheese in it.
Yeah. I got a big look of scorn. But I ordered a pastrami. It was a very good pastrami sandwich, though.
Yeah. I'll put Brian's comment up there now because it makes sense to put up now. He said kosher nosh. He said. Now I'm assuming are you referring to the kosher nosh in Glen Rock, New Jersey, or is there another kosher nosh? I'm sure there may very well be. The one in Glen Rock is amazing. I used to live in the next town over. So I used to very often frequent that deli there. So, and he said he has about 5 pounds of homemade pastrami in his freezer right now. He followed Katz's recipe. That's awesome.
There you go.
And he is talking about the one in Glenrock. Yes, the one in Glenrock. The egg salad. I used to get the egg salad sandwich. Egg salad. I'm not supposed to. Amazing.
But did you get the MLT?
I get the mutton. When the mutton is nice and lean.
Yeah. So
Exactly. So anyway,
we're going to have to try to go at least 4 shows without bringing that joke up.
I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can do it.
Between the two of us, no.
And speaking of traveling, happy National Shop for Travel Day.
Isn't that right there?
That is.
I leave at 5:30 in the morning for the airport, go down to Atlanta, to drive to New Orleans with my son. So
Nolans.
That should be fun.
And there you have it. Yeah, cool. Well, enjoy your trip. We'll talk more about that later in the show. But
all my shopping for that trip has been done, so I'm good.
There you go. I think it's time to bring on a guest. What do you think?
I'm thirsty.
I'm sure she is as well. Please welcome to the show. You introduce her because you better.
Oh, what? You're not going to take a stab at pronouncing her last name? Mel Yukna?
So close. We've had it said many different ways. It's technically Yukna.
Yukna.
Yeah.
Yukna.
But we get Yukna, Yukana, Yuknevich, every name but
Yuknevich. Where'd I get that from?
Do you get like Hispanic people in there that call you Yukna?
Yukna.
My son.
It's the other way around. It's the J is a Y. Never mind, not the Y being a J.
My son plays baseball, and he did a travel show at the Aberdeen stadium, and it's a great thrill for the kids in high school because they have an announcer and everything. And my son got up to bat, and they're like, "Next up, number 11, Finn Yukana." So now when my son goes up any position, we're all like, "Go Yukana!" Anyway.
Well, I was going to say the exact same way Dave did, and I meant to actually ask you before we started the show, and I totally
Okay.
So he let me.
So it's Mel Yukna.
Yes. Well done.
Yes.
Mel
Mel
Yukna.
being short.
Mel
for
Yukna, welcome to the
Melissa.
show.
Mel
Yes.
B. And it's Mel.
Thank you.
And I did learn while I was at the brewery, it is not Missy. If you say Missy, her brother will come and beat you up.
You
This
just
is
said
accurate.
Missy twice.
No, if you
This
call
is
her
accurate.
I said it once.
Well, I went through as Melissa. I went through a Missy stage in 7th grade. So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be cool now. I'm gonna smoke cigarettes and I'm gonna listen to AC/DC and wear Jordache jeans. It's gonna be amazing." And so I was like, "I'm Missy." And a couple of boys called the house and they asked for Missy, and my brother's reply was, "No, there is no Missy that lives here. I have a sister named Melissa. And if you'd like to actually talk to her, then show up at my house and tell me you want to speak to her," and then just hang up on them. So they weren't very keen on that. But Mel came in much older into my career when I was actually on the radio, because my station manager and I were both named Melissa. We had very similar voices, and sometimes it just sounded like I was talking to myself for an hour, which no one wants to listen to. My kids already listen to that enough as it is. So we shortened it to Mel, and it stuck, and my family hates it, but it is what it is.
This is very true.
Yeah. But thanks for having me on. And
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Give me the name tangent.
You got it. All right. So before we get going with some questions here, let's open beer. Let's open beer. So Mel, you're the guest of honor. So what are you drinking tonight?
I opened a little early because I was very thirsty, but
Quite all right.
Never a problem.
I could not be here as a representative from a Baltimore, Maryland brewery without honoring the godfather of all Maryland beer, which is Heavy Seas, Hugh Sisson's Bo Delicious Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
It's a delicious 4.5. My favorite is the logo on the back where it reads, "Actually brewed in Baltimore."
Yeah.
Actually brewed in
Actually,
Baltimore.
it actually is brewed in Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I wonder if they're taking a dig at their neighbors.
a lot of folks that ship their beer out to get made. But on to better stuff though. That I put it in the Hausner glass that I've had, which is a Baltimore historic restaurant, which is, God rest its soul, is no longer with us. But I figured it was a very Baltimore theme thing, and it's delicious. It is really, really yummy.
Very nice. Very nice. Samurai, what is your first beer there?
Well, as you know, when we return from Baltimore, I cannot drive. If it's open, I cannot drive by State Line and not stop. Right. You got to, if you're on 95, there's that Elkton exit. I'm getting off. So I did grab a couple of beers from the Baltimore area, not Baltimore proper. This one is Crooked Crab. And this is the Pillsbury Baggins. And of course, John, I've got to put it in my, you can't see it with this color, but you can almost make out this is the map of Middle Earth glass.
Oh, yeah.
So I see something called Pillsbury Baggins. I got to get it. I don't care I may not even care what it tastes like because that's such a cool name.
Crooked Crab is one of our favorites, and goodness, they just rock out some great beers.
Nice.
Oh, oh God. Okay, so I thought there was like gimmicky with Pillsbury Baggins, but I really think I should have got more of these.
How many did you get?
I pulled a John and got a 1. John does this on Tavor all the time, where he'll order one beer that sounds really, really good, and then fall in love with the beer, and then kick himself for not ordering.
Right. Well, look. It's twofold, right? Why I order one, and I've said this to you before, but I'm just letting Mel know. It's twofold why I order one beer. One, I don't know that I'm gonna like it, right? And two, and much more important than one, I have too much beer. All right. Because if I do order 2, 99 times out of 100, I'll drink the one. And then 6 months later, I'll remember I have the other one. So I'd rather fall in love with it, make a note of it. And the next time it comes up on Tavor, then I'll order 2. There you go.
Yeah. But how can you go wrong with like a lager from Heater Allen?
Well, that's true. Well, some of them I have ordered, depending on what they are, too. Like, if there's an alt beer, I order 2. If there's an old ale, I order 2. If there's if it's a beer that is in my wheelhouse that I have to have more than one, Dark Mile, too.
And will also last in cellaring.
Of course, yeah. So, I am continuing my
your dry January.
My non-intentional dry January. Just till Thursday.
Are you on antibiotics?
I am.
That was very well guessed.
Good guess.
He actually.
There you go.
And very responsible of you. The mothers of the world appreciate that.
He faked his way through our last show.
I did.
But the thing is,
but now he's telling everybody that I did. So
he faked through it, but it made no sense because our last show
it was a non-alcoholic.
It was a 0.0 beer in honor of Dry January.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. I literally did go out and look. Nobody had. I would have had to have bought because we're going to do 2 beers or 3, right? I would have had to have bought 2 or 3 6-packs of non-alcoholic beers.
You can't get singles, yeah.
I couldn't get anything else. I'm done. Not happening. I'm good.
Rare.
I drank cream soda. I'm good. There you go. But tonight I'm going non-alcoholic hard seltzer.
Ooh,
okay.
What?
Non-alcoholic hard seltzer. Okay. Well, meaning I'm going seltzer. There you go.
I knew it. I was like, hold on. This is a great profit right there.
Just.
We've been making that joke ever since.
White Claw. White Claw.
White Claw decided to sell seltzer without alcohol in it.
Mm-hmm.
We're like they were selling 0. They're selling 0.0.
Oh no, it's totally marketed that way. They have non-alcoholic hard seltzer. So basically, they're charging you $8.99 for a 6-pack of 12-ounce cans, slim cans of seltzer.
Yep.
That's madness.
And people are buying them.
Oh, yes, they are.
So I like to have non-alcohol on hand at the brewery because we embrace and love our sober friends, and even if it's dry January or not, I always want to have offerings.
Of course.
So
of course.
I happened to see a little 4-pack of these mocktails. It was like a cosmopolitan or a mojito. And it was
Right.
made out of coconut juice and lime. And I was like, oh, that's pretty rad. I'll get this. I was at the grocery store and I check out and they needed my ID. And they're like, I said, there's no alcohol on this. And they said, but it's intended for someone who drinks alcohol. So we need your. I'm like,
Oh,
it's got cranberry juice and coconut juice, and I could go into the section with the dole and buy the same thing. I said, do you need my ID for some ocean spray? She said, no. I said, well, then why do you need ID? They're like, well, it's made by the same people. I'm like, oh, for love of God.
That absolutely that has to be a store policy because that absolutely makes no sense.
no.
It was
whatsoever.
bananas. It was. I was shocked, and
I
everyone.
thought you said it was
looked at me
coconut.
right. Well, it was delicious. I will tell you that.
Well, I got it, but that's like
Delicious and
because
refreshing.
well, that's like the same thing. Like Abita makes soda,
Mhm.
Saranac root beer in that.
Yep.
Saranac makes root beer.
Yep.
All right. So you're going to tell me I go into Wegmans and I get a 6-pack of Saranac soda, Saranac root beer, or Abita soda, root beer, or whatever, and I bring it to the front. They're going to need my ID because Abita also makes
Right.
beer.
Yeah,
Yep,
they
makes no
might.
sense.
Well, in Maryland, we're going through some legislation about being able to sell alcohol, beer, and wine in grocery stores. So the only thing I could think of is that maybe they're preparing to start cataloging
Maybe.
things that
Yeah.
will need it. That's the only reason I could think of it. Other than that, I'm like, this is just bananas. But I do appreciate you drinking your seltzer, and I'm hopeful that you'll get off this antibiotic soon and back with
Thursday.
us all.
Thursday, yeah.
Woohoo!
Thursday. So.
Woohoo!
Oh no, we don't have the next show booked yet, do we?
No, next week's actually open.
We got
It has been and has it was slotted in for a rescheduling, which hasn't been confirmed yet. So it still actually might be confirmed.
This will be the second rescheduling, and haven't heard back from.
Well, we'll find out. But
We'll
two
find out.
shows for tonight. Is gonna be fun, so.
Yeah, that was us last week. Last week was just. You ever gotten to the point at your day when you look at 3 p.m. and you're just like, today was not.
Well,
Right.
you were dealing
my
with
day.
a major storm blow through there, right?
We had 3 inches. You got what? 3
Right,
feet?
right. I think like at my house I got 4, and all around the Baltimore metro area it was like 2 to 3. But 2 to 3 inches here in Maryland is the equivalent of
A
maybe
foot
8
here.
inches in Buffalo. Like
Right.
we just don't know what to do. We don't understand snow. We don't understand ice. Everyone is driving like they're in a video game. There's no more rules. I just watched a freaking, I don't know, a Nissan truck happily just driving around, no plates, no care in the world. And I'm like, it's crazy. But yeah, so we don't do well in snow.
Gotcha.
And kids are dismissed early and all that stuff. And I was just like, today wasn't for today. So thanks for helping me reschedule this.
Oh, anytime. Because we just swapped shows. Because what we did last week, we were going to do tonight. So
That's awesome.
made
That's
sense.
awesome.
Yeah,
Because he was on antibiotics both weeks.
exactly.
And I used to live in Maryland, so I can attest to the fact that they do not know how to drive in snow down there.
I do. I'm a very good driver.
And they all
But I
say
know
that.
a lot of you don't.
Exactly. You're an excellent driver.
I lived
I
in
drive beer torpedoes around all day. I'm a
There you
good driver.
no, I lived down in Lanham, just outside the Greenbelt.
Sorry.
That was a long time ago when it wasn't as built up as it is now.
It's just the traffic in that area.
Mhm.
Lanham's beautiful. The beltway around it is not beautiful. It's
Mhm.
it's
Nope.
ridiculousness.
And I worked in what was the name of the town? It's part of DC, Emerald City.
Hmm.
Yep, Emerald City. I worked at the Amtrak's.
Did you work for the Wizard? Or
No, there were some wizards there, I'll tell you that. And
Flying Monkeys? Any of that? No.
and Oompa Loompas. I know that's the wrong.
No, it's a
show,
completely different show.
But there were definitely were some Oompa Loompas.
There you go.
Were they Mormon?
Mormon. Didn't know. Actually, were they date? Was it no? Where was that? Was it in Scotland? That Oompa Loompa, the sad Oompa Loompa show.
There's a
Where
sad
I
was
Oompa
believe
Loompa
it
show?
was. I believe it was.
Was it in Scotland? One city had put on this production of Willy Wonka, and the Oompa Loompas were just like, They looked all so sad and all that. And I forget. I want to say it was Scotland, in like Edinburgh or something like that.
That is
But-
so crazy.
Yeah, that was like that was a viral meme there for a while.
Insane.
Sad Oompa Loompa, by the way, would be a wonderful beer name. Just saying
Yes,
that.
That
I'm
is-
sure there is one now.
I'm
Thanks to
gonna
that.
write this down.
I'm gonna. You know what? You write it down. I'm gonna check Untapped.
There you go.
It's probably there. It's probably there.
It was Glasgow. Yeah, it was Scotland. It happened in Glasgow. I thought it was Edinburgh, but it was actually Glasgow. Glasgow. No, that's.
Did you know about the Fulcrum Canal in Scotland?
No.
Tangent, must watch it. It's literally like a Ferris wheel for boats. And it
Oh,
starts in
that's cool.
Scotland and it goes all the way into London. But the start of the canal is higher than the body of water to which you reach it in. So you go into this little box, they fill it up with water.
Mhm.
They let the water out of this one, and then it slowly brings you back up to where the canal height is. And
That's
then
pretty cool.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, that's also on my beer list is Fulcrum.
I gotta take a
Ale.
look at.
You
as
have to
to
take a
where
look at
is.
that. Absolutely. Just
Fulcrum wheel.
Just a quick Untapped check. Oompa Loompa chocolate cream stout from Fatheads.
Son of a bitch.
Not sad. But was
Not
it sad?
sad Oompa Loompa.
Not
Just
sad.
Oompa
Not
Loompa.
sad.
Not sad. Then you have Oompa Loompa stout by Iron Hill. Actually makes Oompa Loompa stout.
Oh goodness.
And Dragon Mead makes Willie's Oompa Loompa stout.
Okay.
Willie's
Yes.
Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of smaller breweries. Just
They didn't
but
get
no,
a cease and desist on that one.
I guess not. Yeah.
Oh God, we'll ask us about one of the breweries that we're friends with and
Later,
how-
yeah. Ask us later.
and some of the names that they've had. And I even looked at the owner once and said, Bob, how have you not been sued 10,000 times?
Anybody that's a long-time listener to the show knows exactly who we're talking about, just especially because of what name he just mentioned. But
Yeah.
besides that,
We've had a lot of Bobs on the show.
we have.
And we've never
If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Let it go. But
and we've never had that Bob on the show, by the way.
Oh my
no sad Oompa Loompa though. So
No sad Oompa Loompas.
all right, let's.
You can dream. You can
we
dream.
can dream.
Mhm.
All right, let me ask you this. It's actually the first question we
And now
ask
for our
everybody.
first question.
23 minutes into the show. What, to the best of your recollection, what was the very first craft beer you ever had? Craft beer you ever had?
Me?
You, yes.
No, he knows
Um,
mine.
his and mine are the same. So
Actually, it is.
Okay, so it's tricky because I think I'm losing was I in Minnesota before I had this? But first and foremost, I would say my absolute knockdown favorite, Maui Brewing Company, Mana Wheat, changed my life.
man,
Changed my Mana Wheat, changed my perspective on beer, changed the possibilities of beer. And I remember, so I think a month after I discovered them, I had learned about a collaboration they did with Dogfish, and it was a lemongrass. Oh, I want to say it was a wit,
I
but
think I had that. What
was it a
that?
wit? No, maybe it wasn't. It wasn't a Hefeweizen, but it was.
I thought it was a saison.
No. Yes.
Right?
It's a lemongrass saison. And I remember I was in Denver. We didn't have it here in Maryland. I was on the hunt. I remember finding it in Denver. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to buy it all. And I remember I couldn't wait. And it's rare for me because I enjoy beer. I enjoy alcohol. But, we're talking I might have 2 beers a week at this point. There's too much beer around me. But I woke up that morning and I literally thought, I'm an adult. I could drink this beer with my breakfast. I don't have a... And literally, I was like, can I drink this while I'm on my way to the airport? It was so good. So it was really life-changing. And then
In college, I used to have beer and Fruit Loops all the time.
Oh, ooh.
See, I wouldn't do beer with Fruit Loops. 'cause
I got to be honest with you. The first time
Fruit
somebody told me to
Loops?
do it, Fruit Loops. Somebody told me to do it. I thought it was ridiculous. I tried it. It was actually really good.
Damn it.
I never
thought
liked
that
it.
would be good. I mean, it's all whey, right?
Yeah.
It's grain and grain, just different forms of it.
No, see,
Exactly.
I did a different take on it. While my roommate was doing Fruit Loops and beer, I was doing Captain Crunch and Kahlua.
But you see, now people pay a premium for beer with Fruit Loops in it. That's
Yeah.
the difference. Okay.
No.
Actually, what I do is
Oh.
I make a White Russian and pour that over my Captain Crunch.
There
Oh
you go.
my God, you guys are killing me with these ideas. On New Year's Eve, I told my husband we decided to not go out, and we let the kids make ice cream sundaes. We made steaks and rice and everything. And because we were staying home, I said to my husband, like, do you know what I'm going to do today? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to drink everything I wouldn't normally drink because it's New Year's Eve. And he's like, really? That's your strategy for tonight? I'm like, yes, it is. And I did it because there was whipped cream and there was cherries. So in my mind, I'm going, okay, I'm going to start with a hot toddy. I'm going to go to like an Irish whiskey. Then I'm going to have a Manhattan. And then I mean, it was like the, what was that?
This sounds like my
Chumbawamba
Friday.
song.
Sounds like my Friday.
Mhm.
Well, is your Friday like a Chumbawamba song? Because that's what
Chumbawamba?
this day was.
It was a whiskey drink.
Drink
A
the whiskey
vodka
drink,
drink.
drink the lager drink. So anyway,
Drink a
I
lager
drank
drink?
it, and I looked at my husband later on at night, and I said, there's something really wrong with me. And he's like, oh, there is. But tell me what you think it is. And I was like, I'm not intoxicated at all. And I've been drinking like 6 p.m. And he's like, okay, if that's your story, you could just stick to that. And
There you
I went to bed that night, woke up in the morning, and I was like, I'm 52 years old. I should never, ever consider this as an actual activity ever again. And I just literally, I was like, today's canceled. We're not doing shit. Enjoy. So anyway, that's my advice for the day.
Oh, there you have it. There you have it.
Which John and I will both probably ignore because that's like that sounds like our every other Wednesday now, doesn't it, John?
Yeah. Pretty much.
We do another podcast based on cocktails, so we do that every other Wednesday, and we
I
do
like
pairings.
this.
So we have fun with that one.
Yeah.
I
That's
like
a good one,
that.
too. All right. Second question. To the best of your recollection, what was the first craft brewery you ever visited?
Oh, that's such a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, I would say it was 2004, and
Okay.
I visited Heavy Seas when it was Clipper City.
Is that when they had the tokens?
No, this was
Before the
so
tokens?
early. This is before he was actually taking advantage of having customers in house. He was just a full-on scale production brewery at this point. I'd gone in there for a meeting because I worked for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and he was a wonderful sponsor. And I remember just being fascinated. I was like, "This is your job? You do this? This is amazing!" And kindest, most wonderful place to visit, but it didn't have that typical tap room feeling because this is 2003.
Right.
And then the first real tap room experience that I had after that was Union, our previous neighbor, now our little bit further neighbor. And they really set the tone for what that would be like and what it would look like, and that was really inspiring.
That's cool. Cool. Yeah, I was there. They were doing the tokens, and then if you were on the tour, they'd toss you a token if you got a question right.
Was that when they were still Clipper City? Was that before?
No, they were definitely Heavy Seas at the time.
Okay, so that's when they started the full on, because I think in Maryland you couldn't have a tap room. You could only have a production facility till at least, I want to say it was around 2011, maybe 12 is when they changed it. So, in sync with what happened in Maryland, there was Clipper City transitioning into Heavy Seas. There was Union, Peabody, and of course Brewers Art, which is such a rare, unique environment because they have this lavish restaurant that just also happens to have a beer dungeon that they make beer in as well.
Which is exactly where we went after we visited you.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd
Yes,
you
we
drink?
did.
What'd you drink?
I had what's the classic one? I can't remember the name of it. The one that you drink when you go there. The one that you have to drink.
Resurrection?
I'm pretty certain it was Resurrection. Was it
If so,
Resurrection?
how many hugs did you give that day after your resurrection? Because that is a very huggy beer.
I'm
You
not
drink the
a
resurrection,
hugger.
Everything's
He's not a hugger, so he only gave 5. There you
That
go.
was it. Let me see. I can look it up real quick as to which one I had. It was let's see. Real quick is a relative term, by the way.
Real quick is relative.
Yes.
Don't do math.
We've already broken that rule. That ship sailed.
I know, but you can't go back to it though.
You know what? Yeah, it was Resurrection.
Yeah.
There you go.
We have a no resurrection rule in my own household because my husband at one point after 2 of them he just got very opinionated and I said no more. No more. We cannot allow this to happen in our family.
There you go.
I
It's
followed
a
up.
delicious beer.
Oh, it's delicious. And I followed up with Last Train to Einbeck,
Oh.
the Doppel.
Oh, I
the
love
Doppelbock.
apples.
Doppelbach.
Take the last train to Einbeck and I'll meet you.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? But that was good. I did pour my second beer, and it's you can tell that it's Belgian for 2 reasons. One, the head is still
that's
put
a
up this
pretty
whole time.
glass.
And this is again also from State Line. They had these packs, these gift packs of Da Schoof. And
I
so
saw that. I saw those.
it's like 4 bottles of Da Schoof beer plus the glass for $20. Like you can't.
When
That was pretty good.
Yeah, major. Did you know that the gnomes all have different names?
Yep, I did know that.
Yeah. So they all have different names. And this one, I forget this dude's name, but it's McShoof.
yes, we used to have that on tap.
Really, this is such a good beer. I love this. I haven't had this in a long time.
It every time we've ever brought them in on tap as a guest tap, I would say it lasts about 6 hours.
Oh, yeah.
we
Makes
kill it.
sense.
People are like, "What? It's on tap?" I'm like, yeah, that's what we do.
Oh, that is so good. So rich in caramel flavors and the Belgian yeast esters. Oh,
Oh yeah.
loving it.
Very
Did
nice.
you wait? When you were with us, did you get to have
Yeah, I did. I know what you're going to
Bob
say.
Sampson?
Was that the Belgian blonde?
No, well, you got this.
I got the
you
Belgian blonde.
got the secret beer. You got
Yeah.
our Abbey Burger Belgium double, amazing. But I think you had Bach Sampson too, which was a really tricky Maibach.
I think Carrie may have ordered that one.
Yeah, that was a Hail Mary. It was started to we were hoping to make a cold crash IPA. We had a very bad storm. It was one of those weird storms where there was a cold front behind it, but this particular storm had 2 cold fronts behind it. So it went to about 101 degrees outside to about 62.
Oh, that's
Then
never good.
Back up to 95. Then the lowest, it got to 50. And this is in August. And then the powers at our power company were like, tick, 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 just surging the power, lots of wind. And at one point, we just said, well, this beer is just going to do what it's going to have to do. And we let it ride. And those temp changes evolved it and almost broke down that sharpness that you're going to have in a traditional IPA. And then boom, we had a Maibach.
No, we actually didn't have that. Carrie had the Turkey Tail Ale.
Oh, yay.
And she loved that. And I had, because anytime that I see a single hop in at Simcoe, I've got to order it. I had the Simcoe Junior, and that was fantastic.
That's our brewer's pride and joy. He loves the Simcoe. Loves
John-
the Simcoe.
John, think of like a more sessionable double Simcoe from
Mhm.
Weyerbacher, and that's
Mhm.
basically what Simcoe Junior is.
Nice.
Very
Very
So
nice.
good.
classic.
Yep.
Not a. We
Well, I'm
don't
gonna
like
have to
a
take a
lot of-
ride and have some. So
And John, you could probably walk between 3 breweries right there.
Yeah.
We found Waverly because we were up at Union Craft,
hmm
and we wanted to go to Brewers Art after that. So we leave, and 3 minutes down the road, it's just like do. That said Craft Brewery. Damn it! Turn it around, pull in, and I found so many great places this way. And again, definitely Waverly has been added to that list.
Similar to our Jess and my first experience with Ravenous
Yeah,
up in the old space.
yeah, but you had to drive around and around.
Well, yeah, we knew where it was, but we couldn't find it, right? And it's in this industrial area, right? And we're going back and forth and back. 15 minutes, we can't find this damn thing. So we're like, you know what? Take one more pass and then we're out of here. And as we're coming back going slowly, I notice on one door with nothing else on it and nothing around it, there were letters from Home Depot spelling out brewery. But not even. They were BREW, right? So, and it's very small too, tiny ones.
Yep.
So we're like, all right, we pull in, we walk in, we're like, we look at each other like, one and done. We're here. We got to see. We go inside. We left 3 hours later.
There's a reason that you would do one and done there. When they moved to their new space, because I used to live in Rhode Island briefly for about a year during COVID. I went into the new space. I talked to him. I said, "Yeah."
He moved up. COVID started. COVID ended. He moved back. That's what
Yeah. So
Okay,
I'm not allowed to move back to Rhode Island because people think I'll start another pandemic.
Exactly.
But I said to them, I'm like, I'm so glad you moved out of the murder shack because it looked like a murder shack.
Oh, it did.
It was
Great guys, great beer.
and they were not offended by that comment whatsoever.
We like to call that janky.
Janky. Yeah,
It's
janky.
just a little janky, and we almost changed our name to Janky.
Oh, that'd be a cool name, Janky Brewing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we chose to not build something out that looked like there was like a Nordstrom or Macy's next to it. We wanted it to feel, at home.
It feels like a brewery.
Yeah, we get Elks Lodges, or like once we got a Merchant Marine bar.
There you go.
Marine.
Yeah, I mean,
That's oddly specific.
It is specific, and then but mostly we feel like we're drinking at our mom's basement, and I was like, plan, that's good. Welcome to our janky little shack on underneath of the 83 underpass. So I love to find places like that where you're just like, where the hell did this place come from?
Well, he's like, David inspired me here. Like, we got to call it Janky Brewing, featuring the 2 flagships, Ragtag Lager and Dive Bar IPA.
There you go. John, the feel of the tap room is not that different than Cricket Hills.
Okay.
Getting all these great names to check out now.
Yeah,
What's Cricket Hills?
It is Cricket Hill is it's one of the OGs in New Jersey. It's one of the oldest breweries, probably the 3rd oldest surviving brewery right now.
The third oldest surviving. Not you can't count Descendants because they're a brew pub.
Okay, so
production brewery is the 3rd oldest behind.
I gotta check them out.
Well, actually, no, 4th, because Climax.
Well, yeah, I goes kind of Climax is number 1.
River Horse.
Well, they moved.
And River Horse
from
bought
the
Duclaw.
Sure.
Yeah. But River Horse moved. That's why, and the Flying Fish moved. That's why I'm not counting.
Flying Fish is done,
and they're done.
They're done.
They're Constellation now, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are they Constellation?
No.
Somebody bought them. Somebody bought the intellectual property, and they're selling the brand, but the brewery itself is gone.
Yeah.
And then Greg, High Point.
Oh, it's a Cardi High Point. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
Love you.
Sorry. Can I just say, and I don't know if this is offensive, but Jersey's confusing to me. I don't get it.
I've lived here my whole life, and it's confusing to me too. So.
The one thing I really love about Jersey are the what do they call them? Jug handles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great concept. I mean, it confused the shit out of me the first time I ever used it. I'm like, what am I doing? I want to go that way, but they're telling me to go that way. But
you got to make a right to go left. Yes.
Right, but the complexity.
You're basically making 3 rights to go left. Is what you're doing. It's just smooth. That's all.
It's beautiful. And so it's the complexity in Jersey is confusing, but also really, really, really lovely. I worked in manufacturing for so long that I was so accustomed to that, what we all see of Jersey from the turnpike.
Right.
And then
It's
recently,
literally one tiny little area of
I
Jersey. That's
know
it.
it's like a sliver. And then recently I went to the coolest event. I have a dog that is he is a it's essentially an endangered breed, and so I show him.
Really?
Yeah, his name's Dave. They're called a curly-coated retriever, not to be confused with those asshole labradoodles. But it is the oldest of all the retrievers, right? So I go to his very first show, and it is a farm that it's got the longest standing USA dog show, and the farm apparently was owned by oh god, what are the Gatsby names?
Zelda or F. Scott Fitzgerald?
Maybe it was the Fitzgeralds, but we're talking like deep old Jersey money. And so this was like a 400-acre farm in Jersey that has just been turned into, like, I mean, I think the state owns it now, but they use it for
Makes
these
sense.
dog shows.
Well, I mean, the state owns everything else, so they can own it.
Right. But we did the dog shows there, and I mean, it's great therapy, by the way, to go to those things, because you're like, I am so normal. I am well adjusted and mentally well. And then looking upon like what's happening, I mean, people bring tour buses of their dogs, but this was a heavy duty, like highfalutin, fancy event, which my dog won. It was really cool.
Very
Cool.
nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
he's a
Congratulations.
champion. But that's my story of Jersey, and there's a lot of dog shows in Jersey. Who knew?
Who knew?
I didn't know that we had a lot of dog shows. Now this must have been one of the Chesapeake. What is the Chesapeake Bay Duck-toed Retriever? Must be like direct descendant of that.
Yeah,
they've
it's
got-
time.
'cause they've
Well,
got
the
the
golden's the youngest of the retrievers, and then it goes curly, Labrador, Chessies, then golden, and the flat-coated. Flat-coated, I
Interesting.
think, is a little older. But Jersey is like essentially the playoffs for Westminster. So
Makes sense.
it's amazing. I highly recommend taking a knee one week and just going to those shows and be like, this is so good.
Nice.
Best in show, it's exactly like it.
Nice.
Anyway,
But,
that's
we
my
were
story.
talking how I stumbled upon Waverly.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Now, Waverly, what your 3-minute drive from Union Craft,
Mm-hmm.
which probably equates to about a 15-minute stagger.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
and,
walk uphill. You burn calories
Yep.
and alcohol as you walk.
And if you want to go uphill the other direction, due east, you'll get to Nepenthe in about 10 minutes.
If you've had more than one beer with us, it'll be about 20.
Yes.
You
The
may take your
difference.
time.
The difference in time is staggering.
And
Mhm.
then we're getting another new brewery.
Quite
in
literally.
spring.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, what's the name of that neighborhood?
So we are in what's considered Lower Hampden, but the neighborhood as a whole is Hampden Woodbury. It is old. It's over 200 years old. It was a neighborhood that was built by the Mills. They used to make the masts for the ships that went out into the harbor. They used to make the sails for the ships for the harbor. You named it. They made it.
There are rivers.
But it's a really, it's pretty much as blue collar as it is. It's what Hairspray is based on,
Mhm.
John Waters movie.
Mhm.
And when you hear the term Hun from Baltimore, Hampden is where you're gonna hear it for sure. I don't even think I used Hun as much as I recently have, and I don't know if it's age or just being in the Hampden, but like when somebody walks in the brewery, it's like, "Hey, Hun, how's it going?" And your true Baltimore comes out. So it's a special place. It's really special.
You have one of the jankiest streets when it comes to Christmas decorations. As
Oh
well.
yeah,
We're back to
yeah.
janky.
Had to
It's
throw it
very
in.
janky Christmas in Hampden. It is a really special thing. We have our own miracle of
34th, right?
yeah. I always I don't know if it's just sexy. I'm like, is it miracle on 37th? I don't know. But anyway, so, it's a whole city block. And essentially it doesn't matter what religion or creed you're from. When you buy a house on the city block, you're pretty much told like you're putting Christmas lights up. It's
Or Hanukkah.
Yeah.
One house was completely decked
We
out.
now
in
have a
blue and white.
Hanukkah house.
Yep, there's a Hanukkah house.
which is great. And so, but even if someone might have been in the house for generations and they might be a little bit too elderly to do the whole Christmas light thing, neighbors pitch in and say, "We gotcha," and they start it. I think the weekend of Thanksgiving, and it doesn't end till New Year's Eve.
Well, after leaving your brewery, we made a beeline for there so we could see it. Then went to Brewers
That's
Art.
nice. That's nice.
And we got there at Brewers Art just as they were taking the barricade down to the downstairs.
Just as they were closing, I was going to say. I thought you were going to
No. No, because the basement doesn't open until
Till
late. I think we got there at 6. I think they opened at 6. And they were and we were like, we were told we have to drink downstairs. Like, well, you can't right now because never mind, they're taking the barrier down. You can go.
They got to keep the crowd controlled for a reason, but it tends that the barricade stays up because they're taking they're taking in the dinner and the lunch crew and the bar crawlers, and then they know that after that barricade's down is where the true beer enthusiast come on in.
Sure.
And
so cool
such a
so
special
cool.
place. It's really special. I'm super jealous they have a real fireplace. I'm like, God, I love it. It's just like, it's very comfortable and relaxing.
It's like catacombs down there. It's so cool.
Yeah. That's the kind of joint that I don't like going into places that feel like it's in a shopping mall. Or that, like I said, like it's like maybe like a stable for Macy's or
Right.
or whatnot. I don't like that aesthetic of like hard white marble everywhere. I want to feel like I'm going into someplace historic because I think that the passion that brewers put into their work is really inspired by where they're brewing at and how they're brewing. And we all know our water source completely changes the beer. So I don't like to go to a shopping plaza brewery.
I wish all breweries knew that.
Most important ingredient in beer is water.
It is water. Wait, how do you guys do water in Jersey? How do you say it? See, like we're water.
Water.
Yeah.
WERTER, water.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't trust anybody that calls it water. I feel like that's just
pretentious.
Or what about Philly with the water?
Water. Yeah, with
water,
the WODR. Yeah.
Water, yeah.
WUDDR, yeah. Water. Water.
Who are we going? Oh, no, we're not going against Philly. We're going against the Bills in this next playoff game. Should be fun.
But you know the statement. Anytime that every 12 years the Bills have a 28-year-old quarterback, they win.
Ravens, not Bills. Ravens.
I know.
Right. So it was Dilfer, Flacco, and now probably the odds-on favorite for VIP.
I really hope
MVP.
You guys will appreciate this.
This one hits hard.
My neighbor used to be Vinny Testaverde.
Really?
Really?
A son of Jersey, I think. I think they're originally Jersey.
Hey, not all the Goombas come from here.
Well, I mean, he played. Regardless whether he was born here or not, he did play on the Jets, so he clearly was from New Jersey at some point.
Fantastic family, wonderful human being. I will always cherish the opportunity to get to know his family, but it was every time I think of New York and Jersey, I think of the Testaverdes for sure.
You're close. Sure. He's from Floral Park, New York.
Yeah.
Well, Floral Park. I was gonna say no. It's Queens. It's the eastern side of Queens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's probably only about 35 miles from where I live, or about 3 hours.
Okay.
Actually, I don't even think it's 35 miles. It's probably only about 20. It's probably about 18 to 20 miles.
But it's still about 3 hours.
About 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wait. What part of where are you guys? Like on the map?
I'm right across. If you know where the Lincoln Tunnel comes out, I'm right about there.
Really?
On the Jersey side. So
that's wild.
I look out that window right there. I can see Freedom Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Oh, that's so wild.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So wild.
I'm on the beach.
Oh, you son of a bitch. That's awesome.
What part? You know where Asbury Park is?
Of course.
I'm from Belmar. I got three towns south of Asbury.
I will tell you a tale of what we did.
Please do.
This day this very day,
This very day.
8 years ago, I
Okay.
had Mickey from Ween playing at the brewery, and because
Really?
we used to fish with him out of Belmar,
Oh,
Out of the
and
basin, huh?
yeah, so we used to fish with him. Really wonderful. Again, one of my favorite people. But we hid him in the garage and surprised everybody.
hit him in the garage.
We did. We
For
opened up
3
the garage
days.
door.
No.
We were all hot as shit. The moment we opened up the garage door, like a plume of smoke came out. We're like, oh, Jesus. But we surprised everybody by making a Ween beer, and people knew that I worked in music, so they're like, "Is he coming?" I'm like, "No, he's not coming."
Was it called chocolate and cheese?
Dumb. Yeah, no. God, what did we call it?
Please.
It'll come to me. We might have called it chocolate and cheese. We might have.
That was such a
But
great album.
it was, and so we surprised everybody, and our other friends played, and then they ended their set, and they're like, "Hey, we have a friend of ours that it's gonna get up on the stage," and the door opens up, and he comes out, and he played for 2.5 hours.
Oh, it's
But-
so cool.
Belmar is beautiful, and the stories of going out on Mickey's boat, which is not what you would consider a striper boat. I mean, obviously he does fish for stripers, but not like the cruisers that take like 500 people out.
Right.
And that he would, I remember we went out on opening day, and he was like, "The weather's really bad. It's very, very windy. I don't know if this is a good idea, but we're just going to do it anyway." And I stayed off the boat. My husband and our friend went. And our friend was imagining the striper yacht when we said, "Let's go fishing for stripers."
Mhm.
And instead we get on this boat, and I think it's like a 24, 25 foot, but it's a fishing boat.
Right.
And the waves are happening, and Mickey just throttled it. And like the story that I get is they caught air up in the ocean, and literally like their lives went flashing before their eyes. They slammed down. He was like, just happy as could be. Happy as could be. But we went to that Italian restaurant that's in Belmar.
Which one?
There's quite a
Well,
few.
no. It's like the class. It's real. It's been there forever. It's like got
Not too far from the marina, like
Yeah.
downtown.
yeah.
Federici's.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. We went
Mhm.
there. It was great. Delicious.
Yep.
But anyway, that was the year that we opened up the brewery. So
Oh, there you go.
funny
did
little
you-
tie-in.
When did you open up the brewery?
Yeah, let's
We
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
No.
Not at all.
Don't be sorry at all. This is great conversation. Just in
Um,
case anybody's tuning in that actually wanted to find out information. Let's give it to them.
We are talking
I
about
like
beer.
to talk stories. Anyway,
Oh, we love it.
So do we. So
so we got our license in 2013.
okay.
Got the space in late 2013, early 2014, and then it took us a year and a half to build out. So we officially opened November 2015. We just celebrated 10 years. But it was a long haul, because this was back before you could just go onto an auction site and get some tanks. This is when tanks had like 10, 15-year waiting list on them.
Sure.
Oof.
Yeah, no, because
So
at that point in time there weren't a lot of closures. There was a lot of openings, and
right.
all of the manufacturers were so backlogged it was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean, you would have thought that we were selling Angel Wishes. I mean, like that first 2 years, people were like, "Oh, you make the beer," and just the excitement and joy that came from people, because it was new.
Mhm.
The idea that somebody was making a product that was in your age group
Mhm.
was just fascinating. Now people are like, "Angel Wishes, whatever." Seen that before.
Mhm.
So it's a different world now, but it was magical, and it was definitely very inspired by our creativity, our music likes, and Ween is consistently playing in the brewery 24/7.
Great. That's great. That's great.
Actually, you had I think Neil Punk on when I was there. I think she froze on us.
Did you phrase? We see you. You're good.
I don't know if she
Did
can
she
hear
freeze?
us.
She
I
may
think
not
she's
hear
frozen.
us.
I think she's frozen.
Okay.
Let's see. I will text her and see.
Text her and see, but we'll keep talking anyway. So what was playing while you were at the brewery, you said?
I think they were playing some neo-punk while we were there.
Okay.
Let's see. It
And-
looks like you froze.
While you do that, I'll put this comment up. Brian said probably about a half an hour ago at this point. He said, or more. He said he saw that Ferris wheel on a show. That was cool. It was talking about the
Canal.
the canal in Scotland. It's awesome.
Let it drop and rejoin.
No, she did, and there she is. There you go.
I must have upset the gods of Ween. Who knows?
Well, what I was saying when you froze is that when I was at the brewery, I think you were playing neo-punk.
Mhm.
Ween fits in that a little bit, but yes.
Yeah, we've got a pretty diverse music background.
Yes.
The reason why we all came together is because I managed the band that my husband and our head brewer were in, called Pulaski. They're together for close to 20 years.
Oh, geez.
We toured, we did all the stuff, and then we all got older, we all got married, we all had kids, and the music industry was quickly going into the can as far as like regional music. It was really hard to get a deal, and if you did get a deal, it was usually a crappy one. And we had all stayed creatively, musically, but we all were like, that was kind of like our wake up moment. Like, it's time to grow up and get a real job. And we all did. We all went and got professional jobs. And, years later, we all, we're still best of friends and still really close and loved being creative. And Roy, our brewer and the lead singer of that band, he'd been brewing since he was 15 years old. His mother let him brew beer.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was at a point where in our circle of friends, if you got married, had a baby, I mean, anything to celebrate, he would make our beer. And he was dedicated. He was brewing, every weekend in a small unit. And he joined a state competition for home brewing. This is right when Peter Francho was being a big advocate for tap rooms and things of that nature. And he won the Comptroller Cup, which was, I think, against like 1,000 different brewers. So it was a big deal. And of course, we weren't surprised because we know how talented he was. And when it happened, and I think I told you a little bit about this story, I was not necessarily the first person that wanted to do this. I was the last person. I was the one that's like, no, not going to happen. Our kids were really young. We had toddlers, and my husband did business development, and he's not involved in the brewery, but he wanted to put the pieces together to help us. And I was working at my own industry and thriving, and we had a barbecue one day, and my husband and our brewer were sort of snickering in the corner, and I looked at them and said, "What is going on?" They're like, "Oh, it's okay. We're opening a brewery. You're going to run it. It's going to be fine."
And that was the moment you found out that you were going to own a brewery.
That's pretty much how, I mean, like, and again, there was a lot of planning involved, but like, I remember distinctly telling my husband, I'm like, we're not doing that. We don't even have the money to get when we have to hire an attorney for our impending divorce that will happen because of this horrible idea. And he was like, "Oh, don't you worry, it's gonna work out." And he's a believer and he's an optimist. And I just we went and slowly, like once a week, kind of gathering to say, what is this gonna look like? What does this mean for us? Who's gonna do this? How are we gonna get money? And 2 years into the planning, it just happened, But I wasn't necessarily 100% loving the idea until obviously seeing the potential of having a space for people to connect to, a place to showcase music, a place to showcase creativity. And that's where we are now. And 10 years later, we have days where we want to give up, and then days that we don't want to give up. And we just have to recognize the difference.
Yeah.
And enjoy.
I have those days too, so I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. So,
I've,
glad.
and I've heard about them.
yeah, quite frequently. But you know, it's something that just occurred to me. I was thinking about this, right? And I was listening to you talking about the fact that in 2013 you got your license,
Yeah.
and then later in 2013 you got the space,
Yeah.
and then it took a year and a half to build out, and then you opened in like even 2 years, and then you opened 2 years
Yeah.
later in November of 2015, right?
Yeah.
In New Jersey, you can't get your license till you're built out, and then you get your final. You can start your license process.
What? That's
can-
madness.
You can start the license process, but
It's
you
Jersey.
don't get your license until the entire building is built out and fitted, and they have inspections, and they make sure everything is the way that it has to be according to their blah
Wow.
blah 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 blah.
Oh,
And
well,
then
hold
once
on. Is that with the state or like TTB?
the state TTB,
Okay.
TTB, you get. I mean,
Yeah.
TTB. As soon as you have a space. Well, that's the other thing too. With TTB though, you need a floor plan. You need.
Yes, we had to submit like a floor plan. Everybody had to do a background check.
But still, yeah, you don't have your final license from New Jersey until you're basically ready to brew beer and open. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
How many brewers have actually gone through it all and then realized they couldn't get their license?
You know what? If there were any, I don't know because they never got
They
their
were like,
license. And
now that place is an ice cream shop. I mean,
no, anybody actually built out to get their license.
That's
It's not a matter of the
wild.
fact of they spent $600,000 on equipment and building out, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
they can't get their license. That never happens. They'll if there's something that needs to be adjusted before they give final license approval, they'll get it. You know, but
so wild.
but you have to you don't have any you submit all your paperwork, and
It's
then
crazy.
you get your license when everything's done. You know, I mean,
That's
in
wild.
reality, you don't really need your license till you're ready to brew beer anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like in Maryland, we have we have to go through the TTB, then the state, then our jurisdiction,
And local, yeah.
and local.
Mhm.
But the invisible line legally, like the local only cares about the tap room. They don't even care. They're like, whatever. That's just a space that, for all they know, it's a storage unit.
Right.
They only worry about that, and it's very complex.
Yeah, because that's the area that the people are,
yeah.
coming into, and that's what they're regulating that. So yeah.
Well, I know in New York, my son went to Binghamton, so I had some exposure and seeing a lot of different breweries in New York. But in Binghamton, it was wild to go up there and talk to them about what their experience was like, and seeing the depths that they had to go through to divide
Mhm.
the brewery from the tap room.
Sure.
They're like the amount of like shatterproof glass that they had to install.
Really? Just in case
Yeah.
the tank exploded?
I don't know.
Oh.
It just that I don't know if it was a Binghamton thing or a New York thing, but
Mm.
they could never have the production anywhere where the customer could see it.
Has to be a Binghamton thing, because just thinking of other breweries, I worked for
Yeah.
I worked for a couple breweries in New York,
Okay.
and a few friends of mine own breweries, and the production space and the taproom space are connected, and the taproom space usually bleeds over into the production area.
Yeah.
There's times where I've been sitting between two tanks.
Okay, that actually is big in Minneapolis too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where their tap room has to be in the production facility,
Mhm.
which is wild. Which
Well, no, yeah, the
that
tap
was
rooms all need to
nightmare.
be in the production facilities, but they can't be separated, like you were saying, separated by glass or
Yeah.
anything like that. This is like, I mean, I worked one brewery I worked for in New York. The production facility, the tap room was in the production area. Like the brew house was behind the bar.
Whoa. Oh, there's one in Rhode Island, and I know you know which one I'm talking about. Is it Triumph? The one where you go in and and this is in Providence. You go in and
Trinity.
Yes.
Trinity.
And the tanks are like, the brights are on the top and the fermenters are on the bottom.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
It's
we
cool
went
space.
there
Yeah, it's a
we
really
went
cool
there
space.
when my husband graduated from Brown. So we went there during like
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we
Oh,
went
he's
there during,
Ivy
like,
League. Oh.
I know, it's very highfalutin. But
Does he pronounce it water?
oh God, yeah. Well, let me tell you, marital arguments are real fun in my house because he'd be like, "I'm sorry, I went to Brown. I know these." And I'm like, so anyway, we go to this brewery, and again, the beer, astounding, right? The vibes were very brew pubby.
Mhm.
I was really happy, and it takes a lot for me to like drink a beer someplace and be like, I need to know who's doing this. So the waitress was standing there. I had like a little flight, and I remember their brown was really memorable.
Mhm.
And I was like, so what's the deal? Who's making this? Who's the brewer? And the waitress was like, okay, check it out. Listen, the owner and the original brewer is at the end of the bar. Don't look at him. Whatever you do, don't look at him.
Go ahead.
And I was like, what? And she's like, he hates people, hates them. She's like, so don't look at him. If he hears
We have one of
you-
those in Jersey.
Right. She says, if he hears that you're complimenting the beer, he's gonna leave the room. And I was like, what? And sure enough, he got up and left. She goes, see?
I would have
You
stood
know?
up. I would have stood up and yelled across. Your beer is fantastic.
And she's like, every time somebody wants to thank him, he gets up and leaves. So,
Wow.
but
That's
that
funny.
was my
Hysterical.
Rhode Island thing. Anyway,
That's pretty funny.
fun times. But that brewery is fascinating to sit at that bar and just see. I mean, that thing's so old. It's been there,
Yeah.
what, 20, 30 years?
Long time. Long time.
I think they're the second oldest brewery in Rhode Island. Providence Brewing Company is the oldest continually named brewery in Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Different ownership.
Different owners.
Efren did not own that brewery
No.
when it first opened.
Nope.
Efren's parents weren't born when that brewery first opened.
This
Oh
is true, but I think Trinity might
I
be.
think
second.
Efren's grandparents were born when that brewery first opened.
Oh my
It's very
gosh.
possible.
It was a cool experience. I loved beer out in Rhode Island. I loved everything in Rhode Island. Like it was,
Yeah.
I love
it was-
Rhode Island's great.
Oh, yeah.
The year I was
New,
there,
New England is great, and pretty
Yeah,
much, I
right.
could see.
but
yeah.
Rhode Island's got a different feel to it entirely.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
It's
I
got
love
this small state
Narragansett. We bought skateboards for my kids at Narragansett. The surf
High
shop
neighbor
that
on
they
it?
have. And the
Oh,
funniest thing
the
is,
town, not the beer, the town.
yeah, well, the town and everything, but the beer. Oh, yeah, I love Kansas. But I remember I went.
You got to
the
grab
beach
one and
there.
then crush it like Quint, right?
You have to.
I went there, and as a Maryland girl, I go to the beach, and I'm like, "There's so many rocks. Why is there so many rocks?
Dead seaweed.
Dead seaweed?" But I was like, "There's so many rocks," and it was like 7:00, and all the kids were like coming out of the water, and I knew it was a state park, but I was like, "Do they close at sundown?" And this woman goes, "Nah, it's because of sharks." And I was like, "Yay!" I love it.
That's.
Yeah.
I remember
times.
I was down at. Oh, where was I? Was it Beavertail? No, it wasn't Beavertail. I forget where it was. It was Port. Yeah, they've got a lighthouse there, but I was down there, and it was January, and I'm watching the kids surf.
Mm-hmm.
January, Rhode Island surfers are a
Nuts.
different breed.
Yeah.
Totally different breed.
Yeah, I mean the water just looks cold when you look at it. Even in July, you're like, that just looks
Yep.
chilly.
Yeah.
But the rocks on the beach is something I can't do. That's why I go to Outer Banks.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind the rocks so much. It was all the dead
There's
seaweed.
so much of that. You're right. But the beer, that beer is good beer.
There's a
That's
lot of-
fairly good beer.
So when I moved there, the place that I picked, I chose that one because it was my price range and it was 4 blocks from a brewery. So
Oh, that's awesome.
and before I had my appointment to go look at the place, I actually went into that brewery. I said, I'm looking at a place. Told them I'm looking at a place, and if I get this place, I will be a regular here.
I love this.
And
Wait.
Smug Brewing.
Yes, it's one of my husband's favorites.
Oh, love them. And it was the first place ever in Rhode Island that I ever walked into, and they looked up like, "Hey, Dave,"
Yeah.
that I was recognized when I walked in. And I could probably still go back, and if it's the same people, they'd be like, "Hey, where you been?
Yeah.
What you doing?"
And
Yeah,
I
right.
love the brewery culture there. That like they took that area where 95 was and turned it into a walking path, and made it accessible for everybody in
Oh.
Providence. And the idea that some of these breweries just have like trailers, and every day
Mhm.
they set up shop, and every day they put everything back in the trailer.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a lot to be inspired by, for sure.
It's really cool. It really, really is.
Yeah,
It's really cool. Providence is a cool city. Rhode Island's a cool state.
If you ever
Really.
get back there, walk across the river and go to I just forgot the name of the bar that I love there. The Wild Colonial.
We
Oh.
went there.
How cool is that place?
It's great. It's great.
It was one of my
And
favorite
then
places in all of Rhode Island.
there was my favorite place to get mussels was there, and it was like this dingy ass dive bar that all the attorneys probably went to. So it was called like the Judge's Bench or something like that. But they
Yep.
had the best mussels I've ever had in my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never actually
Good
went in
times.
there.
I was going to ask you. I figured it out. I was going to ask you. I was like, you're talking about the shacks and the kids surfing, and I'm thinking about what's the name of that one park? I figured it out, but what's the name of the one park where when it's low tide in Narragansett, there's like a sandbar you can walk all the way out,
And the lighthouse at the end of it.
and the lighthouse at the end.
Yeah.
Of it.
That's one of my favorite.
Kennebunk.
Communicate.
That's right next to Newport,
Kennebunk,
right?
yeah. And
No,
it's
that's
in
further,
Warwick.
further up.
Okay.
it's in Warwick.
It's in Warwick.
Warwick. Okay.
It's in
Gotcha.
Warwick.
Right.
There's
And
a
it's-
curly-coated retriever there. I know
Is
that.
there?
Mm-hmm. In Warwick. Yeah, she's there. That dog's up there swimming at the beach every other day. It's great.
There you go.
It's great.
And
Wait.
not too.
Johnny, you never told us what you're drinking now. Since you're
Oh, no,
are
still
you on your
same.
next seltzer?
Same one.
Good job.
Same one. Just same. Yeah, another one, but just the same one. Yeah.
I'm on my third beer though.
You on your third beer?
Mhm.
What are you drinking now?
Well, since I couldn't find any way. You don't can, do you?
Mm.
So I couldn't
You
bring any Waverly back, and I didn't have any
No,
grows.
and you know what? It's shitty to even say this because it's like saying like, well, I was gonna do it, but then I didn't. But I was gonna box up some beer and get it to you guys, and I just didn't have the time.
That's
It's all good.
which is
But-
fine. But I
Yeah, we
finally
don't
figured-
can. We lose
I-
so much money canning. It's so expensive now. We used to be able to can 2 to 3 beers, and it would cost us maybe $2,200 tops. And now that price is more like $4,000,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
which is
Wow.
why 6-packs and 4-packs are astonishingly expensive because we have
Yeah.
to pay for that. And then if we considered buying a canning line, I think the bottom lowest price is maybe $32,000 for a canning line.
I would be shocked if it was that low.
I know. I'm talking about like
that's
auctions and
used.
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
used. Yeah.
Like that's
So-
yeah. If you get a if you
And
get
with
a-
all the breweries that are shutting down,
yeah
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
out there.
And so for us, we looked at it as we took a really big, we almost expanded in 2019. Things were good.
Good thing you didn't
And-
because of what happened the next year.
Yeah. And then, we just looked at it and we said, we just want to be hyper local.
Yeah.
And that's such a gross word, but
That's a cool word. I like that
it
word.
No,
is,
it
it is
works.
cool,
It
but
works.
it can be gross in the wrong context. But I mean, like, we just stopped caring about the idea of being the best, and we cared more about being someone's best. The best for our neighbors.
I love
the-
that.
And that's what we built. People know that the beer is going to be different every time that we get experimental. We're not going to have 85 IPAs on the board. We're not going to charge $12 for a pint, and we're going to make it fun, and we're going to make it a reprieve, a place that you could just sit, take a deep breath, and say, "The world's on fire. Fucking cheers." I mean, like that is what we care about the most. And so, I see places like Crooked Crab who are doing phenomenal things, putting out great beer, having the ability to can. Awesome. I think it's awesome. I don't look down on it at all, but I also just know that for us, we're so tiny. We just enjoy having everything inside. And then people always think that they're coming to a private club.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, "What's the password?" I'm like, "Pants." That's the password.
Make sure you're wearing them, or not.
Or keep them on.
Yeah. Sure. leave them on. Yeah.
Right. But
Well,
like,
because even when we were there, a group of people would come in, and you greeted them, and you hadn't seen them in like nearly a year was my take on
Saw him
that.
last week.
That's what it was. You guys were messing around. Okay.
No. Like our beer society club is so special that sometimes some of the members won't come in like 2 or 3 weeks into it just because life. And when they come in, I'm just super happy. And also, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about the teacher. She was a wine drinker. I had.
Yep, she ordered a Chardonnay.
Yeah,
I think. Yep.
I indoctrinated her and changed her tune because we actually bonded over migraines. Weird, right?
Well, John and I bonded over knee braces as a matter of fact.
I love it. Oh, don't even start me on the knee braces. But this was a customer who was as kind as could be and was with her friend, and we were at a farmer's market, and she's like, "Oh, this looks so much fun. I can't have beer. I get migraines a lot." And I said, "What do you drink?" She says, "Wine, but I stick to whites." And I was like, "Oh boy, do I have stories for you."
Yeah.
And I changed her, and she no longer drinks wine. She knows what beers are good for migraines and which ones will bring them on. Did you know? I feel like you guys know this. It is actually inherently more prevalent as a female to have the bitter receptors.
Yep.
So the bitter receptors, when I have the receptors, so when I taste an IPA, I know what makes it good and why people like it. But when I personally drink it, it tastes like garbage, like straight up garbage juice, because the sharpness of that bitterness is too heavy. And which is why I prefer lagers, ales, wits, things of that nature. You'll never see me drinking a classic IPA. I know what it is. I know how to describe it. I know what it tastes like, but I'll never finish a pint of it.
Do you know the historical science behind that?
Genetics. They actually found that in the Human Genome Project.
But you know how it developed.
How?
If you go way back in human history, when things were males did this, females did this. The men were the hunters, the women were the gatherers.
Yeah.
So when women were gathering things, they would taste it, and if it was bitter, that was toxic, and so this became a survival trait, and that's why women can perceive bitterness stronger than men can.
So hold on, are you saying this is why women are stronger? I just want to make sure that we get this accurate. Just kidding. But no, I love this.
But that's where it came from.
Well, and men are more inherently predispositioned to not have the receptor. So
I thought you were going to say violence because we were hunters, but
yes, right, murderers. But men are more inherently predispositioned to not have the receptor. Now there are women that don't have the receptor, and they're usually the women who love their IPAs. They can taste the cinnamon, the cardamom, the vanilla, the citrus, all of those great things. And for me, I am so incredibly frustrated when I think that women get a bad rap for their love for IPA or their not love for IPAs, or they're not being so kind to the guy who doesn't like them. Right. So it is always genetic. But that customer that you're referring to, we bonded because I taught her about the beers that I knew that she would like and what she wouldn't like. And so I'm kind of like her beer mom, so to speak.
Nice.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite things, because when we first started serving, it was almost a given that at every single event there would be a woman, and she would come up and she'd be like, "I don't like beer. I'll do beer. No, thank you. I don't like beer." And then I would let them drink a sour or give them an ale, and then 10 minutes later, I'd be like, "Oh my God, I love this so much."
There you go.
Right.
So
I always say to everybody, if somebody comes up to me ever in history, if somebody's come up to me and said, "I don't like beer," that's not true. You just haven't found the beer you like yet.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
I'm going to save that and make it my own.
Have at it.
I like it.
This beer that I'm drinking, and the glass I'm drinking it in, since I have nothing from Waverly and I'm embarrassed I don't, it's an ode to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Because I'm drinking it out of this glass. That's the workshop by Union. And I do have some other workshop beers over there. I've got Dark Spot and a couple of their barley wines. Yes, John, I bought some barley wines on the road.
Nice.
None for you. But what I'm drinking out of it is an Nepenthe.
Love it.
And this is Apothecary, and this is their chocolate hazelnut
Love it.
version of it. I love the base beer. I think they went a little heavy on the hazelnut or didn't get enough of the skins off of it because the hazelnut's really overpowering any chocolate flavor.
I know
But
they
other
use
than-
organic. I know that they're pretty strict on that sort of thing. So it could have just gotten, they're not using concentrate, is what I'm saying.
Well,
So,
I'm also waiting for it to warm up a bit more because, a lot of those astringent flavors settle as it warms up. So
Yeah.
because there's a real strong astringency to this because of that hazelnut skin.
yeah.
Or just the hazelnut oils, maybe even
Yeah.
can do that. So gonna let that warm up a little bit and see if that calms down.
That's awesome.
But the base you can taste that is a quality imperial stout base.
That's really
And I love that they're calling it 8% imperial stout because that's what it used to be. Nowadays 8% that's just a normal stout.
No, 8% is 8% is a sessionable stout. Give me-
I know, exactly.
I love that it's back to the roots when 8% was an imperial stout. You remember 8%? An
Oh
IPA,
yeah.
and
yeah.
a double IPA used to be 8%. Not anymore.
No, that's
Double
standard
IPA used
today.
to be like a double IPA used to be in the high sevens. Anything over
Yeah.
anything 7.5 and over was a double IPA.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Nope.
I mean, really, anything over 10 is what people are considering a session.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And so it's good that they're putting it on there that it's a session beer because that's smart.
They've got
That's really
an
smart.
imperial stout is 8%, and I love it.
I love it.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So
So what new beers are coming out soon or next? What's in the tanks?
Well, we are working on some reproduction. We're making our No Kings Pale Ale again because it's one of our most popular beers, and so
Of course, you got to do that.
yeah, we kicked it over the weekend, so now we got to get back on it, and then we're bringing back our Golden Sombrero, which is our golden ale. And then we'll be making our blueberry muffin sour. It's the only sour that we
Ooh.
care to make, and we only make it once a year. So it's really special. It's very bready, very fruity, kind of has like that not overly pungent sourness to it, but just light and refreshing. So,
Sure.
and that's we call it our goat lime because we use oat milk in our sours.
Sure.
So yeah, so it'll be the blueberry goat, and we have a little tap handle that when we pull down on it, it yells like a goat. So it's super
Nice.
fun.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
we
great.
try to create
Screaming
some
goats.
positive employee moments. so yeah, that again, we try to go slow and low. We'll focus on like 4 core beers for the next season. And then we'll start ramping up to our baseball beer, which we love so much. And focusing on hopefully getting the Baltimore Orioles to the playoffs. So.
What is that? What is your baseball beer?
So we have our Golden Sombrero, and then we have Catcher Crush, which is a clementine ale with a little bit of creaminess to it. So not really cream ale, but just it's got a little tiny sprinkle of haziness to it. It's delicious. It's amazing. Obviously, we love making stuff with orange because of the Orioles. But yeah, we just try to keep it slow and low and make things that are fun. But speaking of the Orioles, it's a rare thing that I'm number one, I'm super happy to be on here talking to you guys. But 2 things, it's my wedding anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Look, it's only 18 years.
How much trouble are you in?
No, not at all.
No, you're in no trouble. You know why? Because
He's like, I am dying upstairs. I'm like, okay, I'm on it. But
but he's probably thinking, okay, she's doing
No.
this. That means I get a pass next year.
no, he's fine. Usually it's the latter in the other world. But
Well, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
But I spent my week, and we were talking about this list. I spent my the better half of the early week dealing with being broken into. So
Oh no!
yep, our
Jesus.
brewery got broken into, but it was just it was a bunch of tweakers. They just were trying to find something that wasn't there, and when they didn't get what they wanted, they took our dream team, Baltimore Orioles 1983 World Series stack of signed baseball cards that we had up on the wall. And
Jesus.
yeah, so we were sad and bummed. And, you know, we were talking about all these things where, you know, you and I spoke about all the reasons why not to open up a brewery. There you go.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
let's
Might as well roll into it.
might as well roll into this week's top three list. This week's top
Yeah.
three list is quite literally top three reasons not to open a brewery. Now, keep in mind, just for everybody listening and watching, we all love having a brewery, right? We all
Yes.
love brewery.
I don't
Okay.
have a brewery, so
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you can assimilate.
I can
right?
proxy.
Proxy, yeah. So, but there are annoying things, and this is what we're going to say. So, Mel, start us out. What are your top three?
So see, top three is pretty easy. Don't open a brewery if you already have an orthopedic surgeon, because your knees, no matter how good a shape they're in, will be destroyed within the first 5 years. Yeah, knees are hard. If you're not doing if you're not getting in the gym, if you don't have any kind of knee health at all, you're screwed.
Mhm.
Because we all, within 10 years, everybody starts limping around and things break and they're achy breaky. But the silver lining is this helps.
That it does.
Number two,
Self-medication.
right?
Yeah.
Number two reason to not open a brewery: you cannot remove the smell of a spent grain out of your nose on day 2. And if your farmer does not pick up your spent grain, and or it's the summer months, you will literally walk into the brewery and wish that someone removed all senses from your nose. Not fun, but a great environmental benefit is to have spent grain and give it to farmers. So see, every bad reason has a good reason. And lastly, to the note of being broken in, every time that you go in and you think, excuse my French, but every time you go in and you think, what in the fuck am I doing here? How is this my life? Then you have something great to look forward to, because usually you always bookend it with a wonderful event, a wonderful beer, a wonderful community. But that reason alone will test your will at every given moment of your life. So that's
Right.
my top 3 reasons.
That worked. There you go.
There you go.
All right, Dave, you want me to go and then you can fill in, or do you want to just
No, since you own a brewery, you go next,
Okay.
and I'll swing cleanup.
All right. I'm going to throw one honorable mention in there. All right. It's not my top 3, but it has to be said. Okay. Return on investment, depending on how long you're going and what you're doing. Now, if you're doing it for the passion, that's fine. But the statement that I'm leaning towards, and this is why I only made it an honorable mention, is that old standby. If you want to make $1 million in the craft beer business, start with $2 million.
There you go.
Yes. I'd say 5. 5 million.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I should say if you want to make $1 million in the first 2 years of a craft beer business, start with 2.
Yeah.
So if you want to make $1 million after 6 years in the craft beer business, then you need to start with 5.
Where in the hell were you 10 years ago when I needed you?
I'll warn you.
All right. So my number 3 is just the price of everything. It's just skyrocketing in the last 5 years, and we know why. It's ridiculous, right? The price that you just talked about, the price of cans, the price of lids, the price of trays, and I mean, labels and pack techs are about the same as far as canning goes, right? So if you're kegging all your beer, right, kegs are about the same, but it's ridiculous what we're spending on aluminum right now, and equipment too. Equipment's getting ridiculous now. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. Fortunately for the people that are in need, unfortunately for the people that are making this stuff available, breweries are closing, so you're able to get for pennies on a dollar or 10 cents on a dollar, or at least a lot cheaper. You're able to get equipment, so there's that. but just the price is just, it's not like opening a deli, right? Where you got to buy a slicer and a meat case and a cold box and a cash register and put a counter up and go to work. You need to spend a ridiculous amount of money just to open.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not like a food truck where you don't have rent.
Right.
You just have a car payment.
Right. So that's,
and
that's
brilliant.
And car insurance.
And car insurance.
Yeah.
So, so my number 2 is don't open a brewery if you don't enjoy working 90 plus hours a week. Okay. If you are somebody that does enjoy working 90 to 100 hours a week,
great.
Have at it. Go for it. Right. And the number 1 is there's much more hair pulling in this business than there is in most others, because you need to wear so many hats, whether or not you need to or want to, you have to.
Janitor, CEO, you name it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and there you have it. So those are mine.
I love yours.
Samurai, thank you. Samurai.
Some are kind of related to these things. One is related to, remember there was those memes. There was the 4-boxer where it said what society thinks I do, what my friends think I do, what my parents think I do, and what I actually do. And when they applied that to the craft brewery world, what my friends think I do, well, let's start with what society thinks I do. It just shows you drinking beer. My friends think I do, and it shows you brewing. What my parents think I do, and it's you selling beer. What I really do, and it shows mopping the brewery floor. Right. And it ties into that because being a brewer is probably 70% janitorial work.
Yeah.
And I don't like to clean. Now, it's not that I'm not good at it. If once I start, it's hard to stop me. And I'm a perfectionist. So if I see one little spot inside a tank, I'm going to be scrubbing that until that spot's gone. And I've gotten to the size, achiness, and girth about fitting into a tank is really not a doable thing anymore. So that's why you hire it. And child labor laws are really stringent, so you can't really. That's why we need Oompa Loompas. Get them in there, get them cleaning. So that's
you just got to make sure you just got to make sure you hire somebody that's vertically challenged to do CIP. That's it.
Big and skinny.
That's true too. They can't be round, right?
Yeah, they can't be a bowling ball. No.
So somebody that's vertically challenged that can fit through a manway. That's all.
There you go. So that's cleaning.
Or you buy the more expensive equipment that you don't need to get in to clean it.
Self-cleaning. Yeah. Okay. Who's got that money? Oh, we know some of those people. Actually do. Number two is sitting right there on my screen, and I've been in the craft beer world for a very long time. I've never worked in it per se, other than pouring at festivals. And so, like John, I've got a lot of friends who own breweries and know a lot of people who own breweries. And to listen to them talk about their lives, what they go through and all that. So my number two reason not to own a brewery is talking to brewery owners. They'll warn you. Do they love what they do? Yeah, they do. Is it killing them? Assuredly so. So that's number two. But my number one is tied to what's sitting back here. I've got a suitcase sitting back here. Okay, so what? At the end of December, I was in Baltimore. I'm flying to Atlanta tomorrow to go to drive to New Orleans. I love to travel. I just made a Google map for the Lager Room guys where I pinned all of the people that have been on the show and at their breweries where they're from. And when you look at it, there's a large concentration course around New Jersey and, around that. And then there's this halo of other outliers. And most of those outliers, if not all of them, I brought in because John doesn't get to travel because he's tied. He's literally chained to a brewery. I could not give up the travel to own a business. I would never probably number one reason not to own your own damn retail business is that you're chained to it. And I love to travel. And
I'd like to put wheels on Waverly. I would move it around often if I could. But Johnny, I'm right there.
That's a good brewery, good beer name too. Wheels on Waverly.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh, I
I
love
lo-
it.
And I like that, John. I love the alliteration.
Oh, that's good.
Wheels
That's
on Waverly.
good.
There you go.
Well, I could tell you this for certain. These lists are spot on. And I could tell you that if I had both of you sitting at our bar, we'd probably close at like 2 a.m.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And then instead of my husband texting me and be like, so can we like go get a drink? He's going to be texting me that day going, are you coming home?
Home, right.
And you're texting back, get your ass down here. Just get your ass down. Oh, because we love to meet the guy. Between the music stories, because John was a musician, I'm a quasi musician.
It happens that way. Beer people tend to be the creative force of unusual creativity. We couldn't do something like, I don't know, be a painter or be a chef. We want to have beer.
Right.
Maybe it's because we all just don't want to pay for our beer anymore. I don't know.
We have a good friend that owns a brewery in Long Island City in Queens, and he's a saxophone player, and he's more and more lately. He's playing more and more gigs. I was just by a couple weeks ago. I was just over by his brewery. I texted him and says, "Hey, I'm on my way over there. Are you there today? Can you be?" And he says, "On my way to Philly to play a gig tonight." I'm like,
"Wait a second, he's got a 2-year-old little girl, doesn't he?"
Mm-hmm.
She's 2 now, right?
She's 2 or 3 now, actually.
She might be
3 or 2.5 at least, anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, and
my gosh,
he's going to he's got a saint of a wife, don't he?
Yeah, Mary's good. Mary's
yeah,
good.
she is.
She is.
But speaking of saint of a wives, I have to go be one of those.
You do.
Yes,
you do.
Yeah.
We throw these up really quick before we end. And just Brian had said, love Outer Banks. Great beer down there.
We know.
We were talking about. Well, this is before when we were talking about Rhode Island. So we're talking about coastal areas and stuff like that.
He brought a lot of beer.
No pun intended. He did. He bought a lot of beer.
A lot of beer.
And then Rod J said, "Cheers, all." And then he said, "Happy anniversary to you, Mel."
Oh, thank you. That's so
you know Rod because Rod lived in Baltimore. Rod, do you know Mel? Mel, do you know Rod? Rod J Beer Ventures. He has he does a podcast. He was in Baltimore for a while.
Yes.
Now he's back in Cincinnati. Yeah. So.
Cincinnati.
And they got that weird chili over there.
Yeah, they do.
Weird as shit chili. Yeah.
Cinnamon over spaghetti with onions and cheese.
Ah.
I gotta love it. So there you go.
Was that Skyline?
Right.
Skyline?
Skyline is one of them.
Yeah.
Camp Washington. I actually like. Camp Washington is good too, but they're Skyline's the go-to, right? It's the OG.
Yeah.
I prefer my classic bowl of red.
There you go. All right.
I thank you guys so much. For real, come into the bar. We'll hang out till 3 a.m.
Absolutely, we will. He just said he does not. He says, unfortunately, he doesn't. Waverly Brewing, Rod, from Baltimore.
Next time you get there, you got to get in there, Rod.
He goes. He would have went to her brewery though. So there you go. So you gotta.
Awesome.
Well, Rod, you gotta let me know. Gold Star, he said.
Gold Star. I love it.
There you go.
Love it.
Dixie Chili.
Another one.
But next time, if you're going back to Baltimore at all, Rod, let us know. Dave and I'll meet you down at Waverly, and we'll all sit at the bar until 3 in the morning.
I love it.
There you go.
If it's brewery, that's it.
Breaking the law.
You got it. All right.
Law.
You sit for 2 seconds while I do the outro, and we'll end. We'll talk to you for a second, and you can go be with your husband. There you go. On that note, we will wrap up the show for today.
That's the most Jersey thing you ever said.
I have my moments.
We have a lot of them, actually.
We want to thank everybody for watching the show.
Forget about it.
Just listening to the show. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Twitch every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our audio host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcast, Amazon Music Podcast, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Deezer, Podchaser, Listen Notes, pretty much anywhere you can find audio podcasts, you will find the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Mel, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And he
Thank
says he
you.
does know the Waverly name. He says. So there you go.
Yay.
But thank you so
AKA
much.
Janky.
Hey, Jackie, there you go. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll get down there soon. I definitely want to hang out at the bar and chat.
Yes.
Go have a great anniversary with your husband. Hang on 1 second. We'll talk for 1 second. And we'll talk to you soon, folks. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. We'll talk to you soon, folks. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.